Hey, it's Dr. J. I'm back. I apologize. I got a whole bunch of questions coming in and I just couldn't see it till after the video. So I'm going to try to see if I can access questions while at the same time keep my screen up. So again, bear with me here. I want to make sure I answer everyone's questions that come through. So I'm going to give this a try here. Bear with me, everyone. Let's see here. No, don't get that going. So any questions, feel free and keep the chat going. That's going to help me so I can help everyone else here. Let's see here. So again, I apologize. Not going to be the most organized chat right now. I'm just trying to be able to find everyone's questions. Okay. Once I get this dialed in the future, this will be absolute smooth sailing. So I'm excited about that. I really want to start engaging with more people. So keep the questions coming in. I'm going to keep on looking here and see if I got it. I'm pretty tech savvy, so I should be able to get this figured out. Let's see here. I think I may have it. Live chat. Just trying to figure out where the questions are here, guys. Apologize. I'm really excited for this new medium here. Let's see here. I had a group chat list. Testing. All right. Let's see here. Stream status. Okay. Live chat. Open it up in new window. Let's see if I got it. Oh, perfect. Yeah, I got it now. I can see the chats. Perfect. Awesome, guys. All right. So feel free and keep the questions coming in. I got the live chat up here now. So hopefully I'll have this fixed in the future. This will be a lot of fun. All right. So any other questions here, keep it in. I had a question on the last chat. Asked me about Topo Chico. Love Topo Chico. Love mineral waters. Pellegrino, Topo Chico are my favorite. Again, lots of minerals in it, which is great. A lot of sulfate, which is excellent. A little bit of CO2, which is great. So some research on CO2 actually showing that it increases blood flow to the brain, to the prefrontal cortex, right? That's why, like, when you hyperventilate, what's one of the big things they have you do? They have you take one of those brown bags and breathe into the bag. Why? Because that's going to increase CO2, and that's going to help take you out of that alkaline state, which is what causes hyperventilation and make you a little more acidic. But one of the things it does is it drives blood flow up to the brain. So I like CO2 in the form of high quality Pellegrino or Topo Chico. I typically add a little bit of lime to mine as well, just because of antioxidants. There's some really good nutrients in there. And also, if you do alcohol, one of the things you get with the CO2 and the bubbles, it actually increases alcohol absorption. So what does that mean to you? If you're going to engage in a nice adult libation, well, it just means you need less alcohol to get yourself buzzed. So instead of maybe having to have 2 or 3 drinks, maybe you need 1.5 drink, and you got that nice healthy buzz going on there. And then the lime actually provides some really good antioxidants as well. So we know alcohol is going to provide some oxidative stress. So a little bit of lime in there is going to help. And I typically always have a little bit of charcoal with me when I drink. That way I can bind up any toxins. And I'll typically combine that with some vitamin C and N-acetylcysteine to help as well. All right, I got more questions here coming in about FODMAPs. What's the best technique for long-term diet normalization regarding FODMAPs? All right, great question, Chris. So first thing with FODMAPs is there's 3 approaches to FODMAPs. Typically, FODMAPs create problems for patients when there's an elevation in bad bacteria. So really simple. Imagine you got this big body of water, right? And you got chum. You throw chum in the water. Well, if it's, and let's say it's an ocean up in the Pacific Ocean near, let's say the Faroe Islands, right? Well, you're going to get some great whites coming to the surface because of that chum. But if I throw it over in Lake Austin, right, probably no sharks. So think of the chum. Well, think of the sharks as like the bad bacteria, right? And think of the chum as like the FODMAPs. So not a big deal. If you're throwing chum in Lake Austin, you don't got to worry about any sharks coming to the surface. But if you do it in shark-infested waters, the sharks will come. So what does that mean? FODMAPs are like the chum. The sharks are like the bad bacteria. So first off is you starve the sharks by don't putting the chum in, right? Not putting the chum in. Number two is you kill the sharks, right? May throw a couple of harpoons in there. What does that mean? In our analogy, it means we may use some specific herbs that have a proven track record to knocking out the bad bacteria, the sharks. And then we probably put a lot of the good stuff back in, and that would help too. Like even myself, I got a good healthy gut, but if I do too many mangoes, I'll get gassy and bloated, right? So everyone may have their kind of balance. So typically 3-step approach for FODMAPs. Number one, starve it. Number two, kill the bad bacteria. Number three, add the probiotics back in that will compete and take up the space that the bad guys were taking up in the future. Again, seasonal allergies here. What's the best approach for seasonal allergies? Still experiencing them. Again, yeah, your degranulators like stinging nettle, quercetin, also NAC, bromelain are going to be great for degranulating histamine. Also, various enzymes like DAO, diamine oxidase enzymes, can be great for breaking down histamine if it's a histamine-based thing. One of the most, I'd say, the low-hanging fruits regarding allergies is actually hydrochloric acid. Having enough hydrochloric acid on board can be super, super helpful at decreasing allergies. And then also making sure your gut health's good. If you already have infections in your gut, that's going to create stress and lower stomach acid. So if you come off the stomach acid, if that stress is still there, it's going to activate the fight or flight system, which is automatically going to decrease hydrochloric acid. Next is just making sure your adrenals are adequate. Again, lower adrenal function, lower cortisol is going to decrease that. I mean, one of the biggest things they'll do with more severe allergies, they'll actually put you on corticosteroid medications. Why don't you just get your adrenals there to produce enough cortisol in the first place? See, I got more questions coming in here off the bat. Does a Candida diet influence my thyroid gland? I have hyperthyroidism and I've been on a Candida diet for a few weeks. I feel so weak, not able to perform like normal. Okay, this is super common. People talk about an anti-Candida diet. They're typically talking about a very lower carbohydrate type of diet. Now, if you're already lean, again, that may be counterproductive. So having maybe 2 servings of fruit a day, keeping it to lower glycemic fruit, grapefruit, berries, lemon, lime are going to be a great starting point. Granny Smith apple, 2 a day. And then depending on how you feel there, making sure fat's adequate enough. If you're high protein, low fat, and low carb, that can be a death rattle. And you may have to up the fat a bit. Easy fats are going to be coconut, avocado, obviously your grass-fed meats, ghee, if you can tolerate that. And then depending on how you do there, maybe adding in just a little bit of safe starch. You could start with maybe a palm size, a sweet potato or yucca, and go from there. Keep on going in here. Just got my organic acid test with Evan. Very low serotonin. I imagine that's the 5-hydroxyindole acetate markers. Can this relate to any symptoms, or is it low magnesium? Well, magnesium is kind of this natural benzodiazepine. It helps with relaxation. Serotonin is really important for that feel-good neurotransmitter. And again, if you have gut issues, if you have chronic stress and blood sugar issues, you're going to burn through your serotonin and magnesium. So any kind of stress, you're going to burn through those stress-handling nutrients, and magnesium is one of them. And serotonin and 5-HTP and L-tryptophan is one of them as well. Okay, yeah, Carl B here. We have rewarding chemicals in our body like dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins. But are there more rewarding chemicals, and what habits release these chemicals? I would say those are going to be the key ones. There may be some more minutia below it, but those are going to be the most key. Serotonin, dopamine, right? That's going to be your feel good and your focus and I love you. You also have oxytocin, which is going to be primarily produced pregnancy and breastfeeding to help with that maternal bond. There's also oxytocin and other things too. Endorphin, that's going to be your natural pain inhibitors. Endorphins, again, 19 amino acid compounds. So again, if you don't have enough protein on board, you're going to be in chronic pain. And then I'd say the only one you really missed here that's of importance would be the GABA. GABA is going to be the inhibitory neurotransmitter, which just basically helps shut you off. So imagine if you're going, or let's say you're on the highway, you go from first, second to third to fourth to fifth gear, and now imagine you want to slow down, but you're stuck keeping it in fifth gear. Well, that's going to stink. So GABA basically allows you to downshift. So that'd be the one I'd say you're missing. Let's see here. Keep on going here. How can a hiatal hernia play into all of this? Hiatal hernias are nothing more than the stomach right here. So imagine here's your diaphragm, here's the esophagus, and then my fist below, this part right here is the stomach. What a hiatal hernia is the fist starting to go through the cura of the diaphragm. If we have inflammation in the stomach, that can start to tighten some of the muscles and the stomach can slide up. So first thing is get a good osteopath or chiropractor or manipulative massage therapist that can help pull the stomach down below. Number two is get rid of the inflammation in and around the stomach, hydrochloric acid, enzymes, digestive support, cut out the bad foods and cut out the bacteria in the gut, or H. pylori, or even infections like blasto could be driving that inflammation. What's the off product of bad bacteria being fed? Well, one of the bad byproducts of bacteria is going to be lipopolysaccharide or endotoxin. That's going to go to the brain. It can create anxiety. It's one of the second strongest stimulators for leaky gut, can create mood issues, can create fatigue issues too, because it can actually poison the mitochondria. Feel free and Google LPS, lipopolysaccharide, and mitochondrial function. See here, I'm following a ketogenic diet and I've seen great improvement with my mood swings. But one day before my period, I feel that I'm very irritable. How can I feel better? Well, I would say a ketogenic diet's a really great starting point for most people. Now, regarding the hormones, you may need to be on a adrenal/female hormone program to start pushing that back into balance. A ketogenic diet's a great starting point, providing that, you know, I like the term keto paleo because that kind of puts emphasis on meats being organic and cutting out the pesticides and not doing a ton of dairy off the bat. But outside of that, I would suggest a female hormone and adrenal protocol to push it back into balance faster. Because if your hormones have been out of balance for 5 or 10 years, just changing your diet for a few weeks, you know, it's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Not going to be the best thing. A great starting point, but you got to go further. Thanks a lot, Nicholas, for the comments. Please give me your opinion on artificial sweeteners. What do you think about stevia? More specifically, what do you suggest? Awesome question. So not a fan of artificial sweeteners. Let me just kind of put a caveat there. That's like aspartame. What's aspartame? Aspartame is an amino acid phenylalanine attached to methyl alcohol. Methyl alcohol is a toxin, not a big fan of it. If you go look at Dr. John Olney's research, or if you go read Russell Blaylock's book, it's on my library over there. It's called Excitotoxins, Taste That Kills, and it talks about these compounds being excitotoxins, which mean they excite neurotransmitters to the point of death. Not a good thing. Sucralose is a compound of, let's see, what is it? I think it's sugar with 3 chlorides attached to it, if memory serves me correct. The sugar molecule with 3 chlorides, not a great thing either. It was first invented as a pesticide and then the guy in the lab figured out it was kind of sweet. Not the best thing that you want to be doing. Yeah, if you do stevia, I think stevia can be a great option. Don't do it too much because you're giving signals to the brain of sweetness, and sweetness typically means a whole bunch of nutrition in the real world. So a small amount here or there. I like Sweet Leaf Stevia brand because it's clean organic stevia. Lots of stevia actually have maltodextrin in it, which is corn sugar. So if you look at like Truvia or like the Pepsi and Coke brands, it's going to have maltodextrin corn sugar in it. And guess what? That's sugar, it's a grain, and if it's not certified organic, it's probably GMO, right? So Stevia Sweet Leaf brand is great. I like the liquid because I can fine-tune dose it. No other added ingredients. What's the best way to process and digest nuts? I want to eat nuts. The first thing that you can do is make sure your nuts are soaked. Soak them for 24 hours. And then at about 150-degree heat, the 200-degree heat, you can let it cook for 6 to 8 hours. And what that'll do is that'll help neutralize the oxalates and the phytic acid. So soak them for a day. Got to soak your nuts. And then you got to then take it and cook it low heat, 150 to 200 for about 8 hours afterwards. I think the Weston A. Price talks about this too. You can also get some sprouted nuts at Whole Foods. They're a little bit more money. And that's kind of does the process for you. Really, it's about kind of sprouting it. And then the cooking part is really good. That will help dry it off so it tastes better too. Will this video show up after YouTube when it's completed? I want to make notes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've had a few days worth of keto OS, exogenous ketones, and I felt amazing. While taking this product and trying to eat mostly keto, some carbs at night help me become a fat burner. Absolutely. We just have to make sure you're not spitting up your ketones with exogenous ketones and then eating a whole bunch of sugar and carbohydrate. I think a lot of people are using it for that reason. I think it's great if you can do it and then have a really good diet on top of it. I've done keto OS before. I think it's really good. It's a little bit on the expensive side. I've tested it and I get my ketones just as high with MCT oil and grass-fed butter in the morning as I did with keto OS. Good product, but I've been able to do just as well with the MCT oil. Thanks a lot, Nicholas. Appreciate it. So do I have to be on keto OS my whole life? I mean, I think it just depends why you're on it, right? If you have Parkinson's and you have neurodegeneration and your brain can't use sugar for fuel optimally, you may have to be on that your whole life. If you're just doing it for performance, I would look at optimizing coconut oil consumption. I would look at getting your diet 100% dialed in, and I would look at using MCT oil or brain octane and such to help use that more supplementally so it can be more of a lifelong thing. But again, it depends what your goal is. If it's neurodegeneration, maybe. If it's more performance, you have to figure out if you can get the same effect with the MCT or the other healthy fats. All right. Any other questions here, guys? Feel free and let me know. I'm so happy I figured out this live chat thing. This is great. Love it. I'm going to be doing probably a video or two every week. So if you have any questions, feel free and come on here and let me know. Let me see if I missed any questions here off the bat. Let's see here. We answered the allergies. We talked about hypothyroidism. So I'll go back to that thyroid question. So Candida does produce various toxins in the body. It produces acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde produces a compound called salsaladine, which can go to the midbrain and actually increase apoptosis of dopamine-producing cells in the midbrain, in the substantia nigra. So Candida can create problems because there's other byproducts and toxins that come off of it. Also, mycotoxins are produced by Candida too, because it is a fungus that can disrupt peristalsis. So you can start to get a slow bowel movements, slower transit time, which means you can start to absorb more of the fecal toxins and have this auto intoxication environment, which is definitely stressful for you as well. Let's see here. Thanks a lot, Kendra, for your compliment. How long does it take for the gut and the hormones to normalize after a parasite infection, blasto? I would say, number one, you first want to make sure that it is only blasto. When we retest, sometimes we'll find that other infections are present. So I would say just confirming that it is only blasto, number one. Again, the longer the infections have kind of set up shop, the more inflammation and damage is caused on the inside. So we just want to really make sure that all the inflammation is fixed. And typically going through the 6 hours is going to be the best. So first R is removing the bad foods. Second R is replacing enzymes, acids, and digestive nutrients to break down the food. Third R is repairing the gut lining if it's needed, right? If there's a lot of gut inflammation, irritation, high lactoferrin, high calprotectin levels on stool tests, that means inflammation. Also repairing the adrenals and thyroid, because if we have low hormones, that's going to be important to knocking down the inflammation. Fourth R is removing the infection. So if we remove the blasto, fifth R is repopulating gut bacteria. Sixth R is retesting. We have to hope that we got the infection the first time. Typically with blasto, we get it knocked out 70% of the time. What's that Anchorman quote? 70% of the time, it works every time. So we got the blasto knocked out, and then the sixth R is retesting. So we have to ensure that we retest and the blasto is gone and there's not a new infection. And also the X factor for a lot of this, guys, I got to do a video on this week, is going to be, does your partner have an infection too? If your partner has an infection, they could be passing it back to you. And I've seen it. I had a spouse and her husband come in this week, and they both had this exact same stool test. They had the same bacteria. They had the exact same parasites. It was crazy. And this person is trying to get better. And we realized we have to bring the spouse to the table to get this fully fixed. Awesome. Greetings from Germany. Thank you. Very cool. What's the best diet for yeast infections? Off the bat, it's going to be a lower paleo carb, let's say a low carb paleo template will be the best to start, and then slowly increasing carbohydrate from low fruit sources and maybe a tiny bit of starch after the first 2 weeks. Hopefully that helps. How long does it take to heal the gut lining? We answered that question. So that could, from a time perspective, if you have infections like E. histo and multiple infections, it could take anywhere between 2 to 4 months on the short side, up to 1 to 2 years on the long side. I've had patients that have had up to 5 or 6 different infections, and they come back in layers. What is your source of high-grade vitamin C? We're always using high no GMO sources, and we're trying to use like obviously grain and gluten-free sources. And then we're using acerola for the flavonoid part of it, rutin, hesperidin for the bioflavonoid portion of it, but gluten-free and no pesticides. A lot of that comes from corn and has GMO in it as well. So that's not going to be the best thing here as well. Let's see here. Any other questions? Video will show up. What's your option on bottled water? Good, better, best kind of thing. So bottled water, again, first off, get like one of those Life Factory bottles you can get on Amazon. They're glass and they have the rubber around it. So if you're going to go out and bring water with you, get one of those, or get like a clean canteen. That's going to be your optimal best bet. Next is going to be just going to Whole Foods and just getting a bottle that's going to be glass. So like a Pellegrino is going to be better because glass is not going to leach any toxins. And then your next bet after that would be doing regular bottled water. Now you can tier it. I like Evian the best, French Alps. I like that really good. Fiji I like second. Good minerals. Again, it's in plastic, so you got to be careful. There could be some leaching of chemicals. And then after that, I would say would that be like your Aquasana, which is tap water, but it's at least gone through reverse osmosis and they put some minerals back in. So it's still 1,000 times better than any tap water. So hope that helps with that here. Have you written any books yourself? Yeah, I actually just finished a book. It will be coming out real soon. It's called The Thyroid Reset. It's going to be talking about how to get your thyroid back in balance and looking at all of the connections that cause thyroid issues, from male hormones to female hormones to gut infections to stress to diet. So that will be coming out really soon. It's in editing right now. Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Feel free and let me know. I'm going to post this video up afterwards, and I'm going to make sure we keep on coming back here once a week, maybe twice a week, to answer more of these questions. So anything, feel free and let me know. Let me just check my time here, make sure I'm not going too long. Okay, awesome. So I would say outside of that, we've answered a good bit. I may come back here later on today. It's a holiday for most people, President's Day, which is great. So a lot of people are home from work, so we may get more people involved in the chats here. I think right now, I think I got everyone's questions. Will it be available on Kindle? Yes, Carl, it will be. Chris, best protein, beef, lamb, chicken, fish. Again, beef and lamb are great because of their high carnitine content and lots of good sulfur amino acids. Chicken, yeah, you just got to be careful. A lot of chicken, conventional wise, fed arsenic. So if it's pasture fed, you're going to be in really good shape. Fish, yeah, definitely consuming high selenium to mercury ratio fish. So on the cheaper side, sardines, skipjack, tuna are going to be the best on the cheaper side. Wild Alaskan sockeye, I like flash frozen. Unless you live somewhere on the coast that you can get fish pretty fresh. I'd rather have a frozen fish, frozen on site, versus something that may be a couple of days old. High selenium to mercury ratio fish. Avoid the pilot whale. Avoid the, see here, swordfish. There's a couple others. I have a handout online. You can also Google selenium to mercury ratio fish. There's some really good information out there. My doc gave me a 10-day prescription of metronidazole. That's Flagyl and VSL-3. That's one of the most well-studied probiotics. Had no improvements. I'm considering going on the elemental diet. What are your thoughts? I would say, first off, Mohammed, what infections do you have? A lot of doctors just throw metronidazole and Flagyl at people and don't even know what the infection is. In general, like Giardia and Blasto, metronidazole only works a third of the time. And again, what if you have fungus? What if you have other bacterial issues? It may not even touch it. So I think you have to go back to the drawing board and actually get good testing done. And depending on how good you feel, you may have a lot of other symptoms that are adrenal related, and you may need more support for it. So we'll go back to the 6 R's, remove the bad foods. Elemental diet may be a little bit extreme off the bat, but at least a autoimmune template, and then go through replacing the enzymes and acids, repairing the gut lining and the hormones, remove the infections via testing, probiotics, and then retest. Hope that helps. Will you ever offer a training for practitioners? Yes, I will really soon. My schedule is so booked, so if I start training practitioners, it will take me away from helping my patients. And right now, helping my patients is my top priority. I love being a clinician, and right now, I don't want to take any time out of that, but I will at some point. That's good. I know you said you're an NTP, always looking for training. That's good. Yep. Continue to look at my videos and my podcast. There'll be a lot of information in there, but definitely sometime soon. I will keep everyone posted here. Please do this more. Absolutely, Matt. We'll do it. Even better than the podcast, getting a knowledge dump. I love it. Absolutely. We'll do more of it. Appreciate your feedback. The more comments I get, the more I get inspired to do it. Will you set your live sessions around this time of day? It's good for Europe. Absolutely. If this time is really good for people in Europe, I think what, 6 hour difference, 6 to 8 hour difference. So yeah, that makes it about 5 or 6. Yep. That sounds really good to me. Absolutely. I have no problem doing that. Very cool. Will the book be available on Kindle? Absolutely. Carl, absolutely. It's going to probably come out on Kindle first, and then we'll self-publish around that. And I'm also going to come out with an Audible version of the book because, man, most people don't have time to read. But think about it. How many times are you doing laundry or doing your dishes and you can listen for an hour, 2 hours a day? So I'm a big fan of Audible. Read lots of books via Audible. Love it, love it, love it. Awesome. Any more questions here? Let me know, guys. Let me know. See here if any questions I missed. I think we answered almost everything. Let me go back here. Let's see here. Anything else? I think we hit almost everything. Perfect. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, book will be coming out real soon. All right, guys, unless I get any more questions here, I'm going to riff for another minute. If anything pops up, I'll answer it. If not, I'll try to do this another time this week. But outside of that, regarding the gut infections, is one concept I mentioned before. I want to elaborate on it, and that is crypt hyperplasia. And that's a phenomenon where parasites kind of burrow deep into the gut lining. And as you treat the superficial infections, the deeper infections can come out as the superficial infections are addressed. So if these are your microvilli, and this is kind of the inner tube of your intestines, and here's the villi projecting into the gut wall, the deeper you go into where the fingers and the palm meet, this is called the crypts, and infections can be picked up on stool testing out on the surface. And as these infections are treated, we start to get readings from the deeper infections below into the palm. And that can be what comes up on the retesting, the deeper infections. So if you have chronic gut issues, stay with it, get retested. This is one of the major reasons why I had a patient just last week said, Dr. J, I want to just start with testing off the bat. And I said, no, you don't want to do that off the bat because that, let me back up. She said, I don't want to do any testing. I just want to start with supplements off the bat. And I said, no, you don't want to do that because if you don't get better, then you're not going to know if we did anything. Where we could have done testing, we knock out, let's say, 2 infections, we retest, but then 2 new ones are there. You at least know, okay, got it. We checked those off our list. We just got to continue knocking these infections out. And it gives the patient, in my opinion, a lot better chance of compliance because they know what we're doing is on track. Let's see here. Do you supplements? Do you supplement with ketosis? No, do your supplements kick you out of ketosis? That's a great question. I'm not sure. I'm always around 0.5 millimoles, and I'm spitting up pretty good amount of ketones because of the MCT oil in my day. It's a great question. Not quite sure about that. See, Matt here, PubMed article the other day about serotonin depletion and migraines, where it triggers the trigeminal nerve. About serotonin depletion. Well, it depends. Again, a lot of medications for migraines, they're SNREs. They're selective norepinephrine reuptake inhibitors. So a lot of times depleting dopamine can create that. Some people do really well with 5-HTP to help migraines. Some do really well with dopamine. So that's possible where it triggers the trigeminal nerve. Not quite sure about that. I would look at a potential lingering infection that could be in and around the trigeminal nerve that could be causing some problems potentially. Also, there could be an autoimmune element that's there with grains. Thoughts on kombucha? Huge fan of kombucha. Again, what brand you do is going to be dependent on if it's good. I like GT Dave's. I like the ginger kombucha because ginger's incredibly antimicrobial, a lot of antioxidants, very gut soothing, and only 2 grams of sugar per serving. Again, there's other brands out there. I'll name them. What the heck? Cosmic, Buddha's Brew, sugar content is way, way higher. So, I mean, it's like I like the GT Dave's kombucha brand. I'll do Synergy or Trilogy. Actually, I got to go place an order here in a bit on my Instacart to get some of the ginger. I love that. And I'll even make my Moscow, Dr. J's Moscow Mule with that too. Love it. Again, really good nutrients, good B vitamins, good acidification of the gut, good Saccharomyces boulardii in the GT Days. Also like Kavita too, different strains there. Virtually no sugar in that, a little bit of stevia in it. Love the Candida as well. Pain. Have you ever heard of the pain of that? I have heard of some issues with the trigeminal nerve. And again, you also need to see a good chiropractor to make sure it's not a TMJ issue too. Again, depending on what triggered it, that would be really important. Have you ever heard of licorice root causing loose bowels? Potentially. It could be you have an issue with the glycerin in the licorice root, and the glycerin maybe is aggravating some SIBO. Licorice is also antibacterial. So it could be having an antibacterial effect in killing off some bacteria, and it could be almost a little bit of a die-off issue. See, Ray has, do you think that her surgery can affect blood sugar? Well, surgery definitely can. Why can it? It's stress on the body, right? You're activating your immune system. Typically, it's going to happen in a hospital, right? So you're going to be exposed to antibiotic-resistant bacteria. You're going to be on a lot of pain meds. You'll be on anesthesia, obviously, too, which is going to affect your gut flora. So again, with the surgery and the pain meds and everything in the hospital environment, that's definitely stressful on the body. Let's see here. Cassandra asked, just came on the live chat, which tests are the best for the most effective to check all your systems? Typically, body system one's going to be the hormones. I like good salivary, adrenal, or Dutch hormone test to look at adrenals and hormones. For blood tests, we're going to use that more for the thyroid and for looking at anemias. For gut, there's a couple tests I use, whether it's DRG, whether it's the GI map or the 401H for the gut function test. And then for body system 3, we'll typically look at organic acids, maybe a SpectraCell or a Nutra eval as well. So that kind of gives you a good window into all 3 body systems. All right, any other questions, feel free and let me know. I look forward to doing these chats more frequent, guys. Hope all is well and you guys are enjoying your day off of work. I'm here, and then check back. Make sure you subscribe so you get access to these live streams. And if you enjoy it, make sure you post and make sure you share it. The more this gets shared, the more I get excited to do more of these. All right, everyone. Oh, hold on. I got a couple more questions coming in. You got me. Hi, what causes acne? Oh, man, that's a loaded question. I recommend go see my podcast on that. Go to beyondwellnessradio.com, type in acne. I did a whole hour-long talk on it. But on the short end, gut bacteria issues, poor detoxification, inflammation in the gut, that's going to be a good starting point. What do you recommend for increasing ferritin when all other iron panel tests are normal? Dawn, it depends. If you're a female and there's hormonal imbalances like excessive menstruation, you want to get that fixed. Number 2, if there's a gut issue, you want to get the gut issue fixed. And number 3, if you're a vegetarian or vegan, you want to start eating some high quality meat, especially high quality liver is going to be a good starting point. Let's see here. Let me just double check it. Do you recommend to take Bilardi probiotics? Yes. In my line, I formulated one called Sacroflora. We'll use that with low IgA. We'll also use it for any yeast or fungal issues because it can competitively knock out yeast and fungus. One of the most well-studied probiotics. Let's see. I think I answered that question. What do you think about fasted cardio and intermittent fasting for weight loss? I think it's great as long as you don't have a lot of other health issues like fatigue and mood stuff and digestive issues. I think it can be great. Fasted cardio, I think it can be great. I wouldn't do long-term cardio. I would do like a short interval, 15 to 30 minutes max interval or Tabata to kind of get that going. Before you go, could you please say it if I asked your surgery on a diabetic can cause blood pressure to rise? Well, just the fact that you have diabetes is going to predispose you to have higher blood pressure. Insulin is going to hold on to high insulin means high glucose. High glucose means high sodium. High sodium means high blood pressure. It also means high inflammation. It's also going to mean poor blood flow, so your wounds are going to heal a lot slower. So get your blood sugar ideally in control before you do any surgeries, unless it's a trauma where you don't have a choice. Best probiotic strains for post-bacterial infection or fighting good bacteria. Well, again, off the bat, your Bifidobacter, Lactobacillus are going to be your key strains, and there's lots of different subtypes off of that, whether it's Plantarum or Thermopolis or KCI or again, you have different strains. If you're going to go soil-based, if you're going to do like a megaspore strain, you're going to be going more Bacillus. But typically, in my line, I use the ProBioFlora or Therabiotic Complete. That's typically what I do, which is going to have variations of the Bifido and Lactobacillus strains. Notice my DHS was showing insurance. Yeah, Matt, absolutely. Feel free and email the office. DRG, if you got a bill from the insurance, you can totally ignore that And that you totally ignore it as long as you filled out everything right. So not a problem with that. Totally ignore it. I'm controlling my diabetes through diet, not insulin. Great. Keep doing that. Ketogenic diet will be great to start. Adding in B vitamins, alpha lipoic acid, chromium, magnesium, blood sugar nutrients will also be helpful there, Ray. All right. Awesome. Great chat today, guys. See any other questions come in, I'll answer them. If not, I'll put this video up here, and I look forward to doing it. I love this. This is so much fun. Absolutely awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Subscribe, share. Appreciate it. Have a great day.